What is up, everybody? Welcome in dfsarmy MLB Pre-Lock Show Friday. Uh, Talking 13 game slate.
Yeah.
How are you doing today, Tattoo? How are you enjoying the slate?
It's very different than I feel like we've dealt with recently. And it's oddly a lot of pitchers I like, but also a lot of offenses that I like. Or at least a ton of batters that I like.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of batters at certain positions that I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it is a large slate of pitching uh, that I definitely have interest in. It really took me a lot to even get it to 12 pitchers that I'm comfortable playing. It was more in the 15 to or 14 to 15 range. I think now I've gotten it down to 10, and I don't know that I can get it any lower than that.
And on FanDuel, I'm usually way under your list, and I have 9 listed.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of viability from the pitcher position tonight. Um, like I feel really weird eliminating one of the guys that I even did, who looks like he's going to be the sixth highest owned on DraftKings. Like Hayden Wesneski probably should have made my pool, but I eliminated him in my last decisions. He hasn't exactly been super sharp since returning from the IL, but that A's lineup, when you're missing 1 through 5, and I'm talking like 1 through 5 guys that are done for the year,
Yeah.
were all guys that were, I don't know, top 8 round draft picks for best ball and season long stuff. Like it makes a huge difference. But ultimately, I had to remove him because I don't know. Because I felt like there's more upside for like Eduardo Rodriguez, really, because he's at home against Cincinnati.
The last pitcher I removed, and I can't say for sure that he was probably my last pitcher, but I had him on my list and I ended up taking him out, and that was Peralta. I was like, even with the K upside, I don't think I can do it.
I mean, I'm never playing Freddie Peralta at all.
Thought about Logan Webb, but I didn't see the upside for FanDuel.
Well, I mean, there's upside because he like 3 starts ago he put up 30 DK points on the road, which was
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be what, upper 40s on FanDuel.
It had to be in the 50s, I would think, at least.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess
I
just
don't
some
know.
of the other guys I feel like had a lot bigger K upside.
Yeah, there are some guys like that, but like for me, I put Logan Webb back in my pool once I saw this part. The fact that he's projected at sub 0.5% owned tonight.
Good Lord. You talking about the Texas start?
Yeah.
52.
Yeah.
And
that was on the road.
46 versus Colorado last time.
It's just like we're talking about Logan Webb, who has multiple seasons of, I don't even know, top 5 Cy Young voting in his career. His chance of being like the highest raw scoring pitcher on this slate is far greater than the fact that he's 0.47% owned on DK.
All right, yeah, I agree with that.
For that reason, like I just had to play him. Even if I go 8%, or like I'm 16 times the field, like I feel like I have to because the upside is there. I'm kind of shocked to see Cam Schlittler as the highest owned on DK,
Yeah, he's
especially
third
when
on FanDuel.
he's 11K. So he's the most expensive, and now he's projected to be the highest owned. Um, I mean, Yamamoto should be that guy,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
On FanDuel, Cam is $200 more. He's 1060 or 10600, and Yamamoto is 10.4. And right now, Yamamoto not quite double Cam. Like one's 19 and one's 11, and Gore in between it 17.
Yeah, Cam's 26% on DK. Yamamoto's 24%. Gore is 24%. I just like I honestly like I'm obviously a big Cam Schlittler fan overall. Um Apparently I have to refresh, but I'll do that after I'm just a huge Schlittler fan just overall. Um but honestly this is a slate where I really debated fading him. He's had 3 solid starts against Toronto this season, but all 3 of them were like 22 or less DK points. The big hangup we have with facing Toronto is normally guys don't strike out many against them, and that's
Yeah.
the one thing he's been good at. Like he has 7Ks in each of his 3 starts against them.
Yeah.
But also he hasn't been. He's been closer to average than elite when pitching at home. So
When I go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so like for that reason, I almost don't want to pay 11K for him.
Yeah. When I sat down to do my notes today, um, my brain, I guess, was just still stuck on the Orioles and the Yankees playing. And I wrote up my whole note about Cam as if he was facing the Orioles. But even then, I was making the case to not play him or to field weightish or under him. I wouldn't, And then I saw Toronto. I was like, well, shit, that's an even worse matchup.
Yeah, I'd feel better about playing him against Baltimore than Toronto.
Yeah.
So now I refreshed. So we do have a change in the ownership. Thanks, Ken Kniff, for that. Yamamoto now 26.5% owned as the highest owned. Mackenzie Gore just under 26%, second highest.
I feel like you like the other side of that game better.
I do. I like both sides of that game. Gore does get the Elite K matchup upside. But I just can't ignore the fact that Detmers is one of just a handful of pitchers this season with multiple 40-plus DK point performances.
Yeah, I mentioned you in my notes about him today.
I was thinking about this earlier today, and like how badly I told everybody I wanted the Twins to trade for him last year when he was being used in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And then he went back to the starting rotation and has had the season that he's had. He's just somebody that a team like the Cubs, who is reported to have been doing it, should have dumped some of their farm system on to acquire at the trade deadline. Like I really believe that, just as a baseball person, because I mean, I've seen enough over the last few years, like even since he threw a no-hitter 3 or 4 years ago or whatever it was. And to go back to those 40-plus fantasy point performances, one of those 2 was against the Texas Rangers this season. We'll get to Noah Cameron as we're working way down the list here. But like spoiler alert, he's my favorite overall pitcher on this slate. Yeah, Detmers does have more raw upside, I do think. Kenzie Gore hasn't shown the same K upside as Detmers, and I think Mackenzie Gore just has more base runner volatility to him than Detmers does. I mean, Detmers does have some issues with that, but like Mackenzie Gore is closer to Blake Snell-esque than Detmers is. Snell has really become my comp for some of these younger left-handed pitchers with like big K ability, but a lot of wildness to them. Yeah, that's pretty much where I would be with my core grouping, I think. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think you can add in Sonny Gray. Just because that
Yeah,
San Francisco lineup so gross.
yeah, that's just who I thought was missing was Sonny Gray.
Yeah, I had to look at my notes for a second because I knew there was a name I was missing. Let me get back to the right screen here. So we did see Wisniewski go up a spot in ownership, which I think I'm probably all right fading Wisniewski at approaching 16% ownership because I don't think I want 20%. And I prefer to go overweight when I play guys. What are your thoughts on like Sean Burke?
I was writing in the notes when I wrote my sheet up. He's had like 2 of his last 3 have been not great. But if you look like the sandwich in between there, the meat in that shitty sandwich, and all like the 5 or 6 before, let me see if I can find it here. Why does my brain stop working? In those other starts, he had a 52, a 55, a 45, a 46, a 52. And then a 46 was in between those 2 bad starts. So I tend to, I think I like him a little more than 7 or 8%. Well, that's what he is on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's approaching 15% on DK.
I would play him over the same ownership Werwinski.
Yeah, I have to play Burke because like he has a number of 30 fantasy point performances this season. And like I get the same feeling with him as I had with the idea of fading Schlittler, Logan Webb even now.
Yeah.
Like they're just guys that I think have the ability to be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, and I just can't like stomach the idea of passing on that, even if I think there's some question marks.
Like when we said Yama, Detmers, Cameron, and we said like Sonny Gray, Sonny Gray is 4. I think Burke is 5.
Yeah, let me think here. Probably, I think I would have Burke ahead of Mackenzie Gore. But I think there's probably a decent debate between Burke and Eduardo Rodriguez for me.
With
Burke,
that K upside.
Right. Burke, raw upside wise, Burke has more. Like, I'm not going to argue against that. It's just Eduardo Rodriguez has been really solid, and he has the better K matchup.
I mean, it can't get better than Cincinnati.
Right. And like Erod just did it against the Dodgers recently too. I realized the Dodgers were in one of their struggling stretches, but still, like Cincinnati isn't exactly torching. I mean, they did in the 9th inning against the Cardinals. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yeah, something like that.
But overall, like it's just a better matchup than Burke's is. Even though Burke is probably the better pitcher at this point, Erod was still an all-star this year. So, like, he just doesn't showcase from a start-to-start basis the same K upside he once had.
Yeah.
But I just love that matchup, and he's pitching at home. So, I don't know. It probably is kind of a toss-up between those 3 guys, like Burke, Erod, and then Gore, because Gore has, the second best K matchup or whatever. Yamamoto has the 3rd best, but I think he's probably just the best overall play. Um, so there are other names that I think were in consideration originally. A couple of them I kept in, a couple of them I removed. I'll get your take on these names that I list, and we'll save like Noah Cameron for the end.
Okay.
But I'll give you Emerson Hancock, Sean Manaea, Joey Cantillo, and Matthew Boyd. Those are four names that are kind of all similar for me.
Do I only get to take one, or like who's my favorite out of that?
I would say pick one because I think I only picked one of them for my pool. I don't know. Maybe you picked two of them for all I know. I haven't looked at your pool yet, but
The ironic thing is one of them is in my pool, being Joey Cantillo, but I think with those options, I would go Boyd.
I went with Sean Manaea.
Yeah, I heard your video while I was listening to it on repeat today, and that worried me because I have the White Sox as a tier one.
I just don't like the White Sox against left-handed pitching as a team. I like a couple of players.
I like a couple guys.
But I mean, Sean Manaea has shown the upside for me. And again, left-handed pitching against the White Sox is something that I don't run away from. Like I kind of like. And it really came down to then Matthew Boyd hasn't looked good recently. So I kind of decided to pass on that from an upside standpoint. Joey Cantillo is like an insanely high whip for a pitcher that's been solid. And I just don't think going into Coors is a good thing for a high whip pitcher who's not a dominant strikeout guy, even though he is a left-handed pitcher. And we know, like, I just keep jamming left-handed pitchers against the Colorado Rockies.
But I had a hard time keeping Colorado out of tier two.
Man, they're hurting against left-handed pitching without Goodman. Yeah. That's the big thing.
Except for like McCarthy, maybe.
McCarthy's like, even with Goodman, McCarthy's been their best hitter against left-handed pitching, which is kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I went with, Gears, is like, I just can't trust that, whip approaching 1.5 in that ballpark. Like, big innings happen when stuff like that goes on.
It was like I wanted to attack left-handed against the Rockies like we always talk about. And this like, as the day went on and, I was making stacks and stuff, I was like, damn, like, I think I might like Colorado more than I like Cantillo.
Yeah, that might be one. Like, Cantillo is not as popular as you might have thought. We're on a different setup for the slate. He might be one where you fade and then stack Coors or stack Colorado a chunk to get the double leverage. It's just like there's so many options. That's kind of why he's not as popular. The other guy in that group that I eliminated was Emerson Hancock. I just don't like chasing 27 out of him from last start or whatever it was, 29, 27 for DK points. Because leading up to that, he'd been pretty bad. And I don't really think picking on the Cubs is the smartest move with how PCA is swinging it. And a couple Cubs have hit Hancock decently. I think Bush, Happ, PCA himself. Like, it's just not a spot, even though it is at home, better pitcher's park. I just don't really want to pick on the Cubs with a mediocre pitcher. So, those are kind of names. Did you ever consider your boy Trevor Rogers?
No, I'm not gonna pick on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, if I was picking on Tampa Bay, it would be with a left-handed pitcher, but I just don't think Trevor Rogers is that guy.
I have one name that we haven't mentioned, and I don't know if he's on your list or not.
Who's that?
Troy Melton. Did you
Uh,
even consider him?
I did.
He made my
I
list, but
I play Troy Melton a lot, like probably too much. Um, I believe in his ability as an ace like pitcher in the future. Like I think he's one of the big reasons why Detroit should have felt good in trading Skubal away.
yeah,
Um, but I also question where his K upside is a lot of the times right now. You know, he's still coming back from some injuries and stuff too. So I I obviously normally am not a huge Kansas City Royals offensive fan. I
yeah,
am a
yeah.
Kansas City Royals offensive fan tonight. So that's kind of why I decided to pass on Melton.
And his price point is,
And the fact that he's just way too expensive for what he currently is as a
yeah,
pitcher. Like there's no doubt in my mind in 2 years that like there's a chance he's a 10K guy every time he starts. He's just not that guy right now.
yeah,
Uh, so
yeah. I'd
that's
rather find
kind
the
of
$800 for Yamamoto or the amount of guys we like for far cheaper than him.
right. You know, $1,100 for 1,100 cheaper to go to Detmers. Um, just
2,400 to go to Cameron.
yeah, I mean, just a huge difference.
Yeah,
1,800 to go down to Mackenzie Gore even.
I mean,
Uh,
hell, I'd save 700 to get Sonny Gray.
and Sonny Gray. Cheaper to go to Logan Webb.
Yeah,
But I mean, who's lower owned? I like Melton is one of the ones tonight that like I just couldn't force back in when I started reviewing everything, and he's the one guy that I think could score like 27 and force me to be a little annoyed with myself. Um, but I just put his chances of doing that below guys like Logan Webb and Schlittler.
and I wrote in my note, I was like, this is a GPP. He's barely owned, so you don't need but a sprinkle. And I was like, it's some Kansas City bats that are on fire.
Right.
I mean, particularly 4 of them.
One of them might not be in the lineup. I'm
That could
assuming.
be
Huh?
Vinny or Jack.
Jack. I don't think I've seen their lineup, but it doesn't mean it hasn't come out because I clear notifications so fast that sometimes I skip right over it.
It does appear that they are confirmed.
Jack is back in the lineup.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Carter Jensen, Witt, Kaggs, Perez, Vinny, Lofton,
Massey.
Massey's one of my favorite bats.
Massey's one of my favorite bats. Collins, I think, has had a home run off of Melton. Like, I obviously don't like stacking Kansas City. I don't do it often, but tonight is the night for me.
Yeah.
Probably to be stupid, really, is what it is. But
Yeah, they're almost tier 1 for me.
So, looking at Noah Cameron, who I have as my number one pitcher tonight, his recent pitching has just been phenomenal. I think he had one hiccup recently, but over the last month plus or so, like he's been absolutely filthy. Like he might have the most 30 plus fantasy point performances over his last 5 starts or something, off the top of my head. Overall, I think Detroit is weak enough against left-handed pitching. They have some guys that have been swinging it better recently, like Gleyber, Hayu Lee, a couple of those guys, and Valencia too at catcher.
Yeah.
But like Dingler's atrocious, like ice cold, and he's not very good against left-handed pitching for some reason. And Max Clark shouldn't really scare us. I don't know. Like it just feels like a lineup that he can do damage against. Um, we'll get over to the leverage tab in a second, and you're going to see that the recent trends for Detroit against left-handed pitching have been really strong. In fact, they were last I looked, they were number one in batter WOBA in their matchup tonight. But um, yeah, this stretch of starts for Noah Cameron started with a 28.8 DK point performance against Detroit almost exactly a month ago. So he's gone 28.8, 30, 35, 4 against the Dodgers, and then last start 44 against the Angels. Now, the one concern I have is that 44 against the Angels was a complete game shutout, 115 pitches. We've kind of seen over the last couple of years that pitchers that kind of step up and have performances like that kind of come back down to earth a little bit in their next start, or
Yeah.
teams have been giving them an extra day of rest. Noah Cameron got no extra rest in between this one. Now, the thing that makes me feel a little bit better is the two previous starts, he went for 106 and 101 pitches. So it's not like he jumped from 90 to 115. So for me, I'm just going with Noah Cameron. I just think that he should be much more expensive than 7,400, and that's ultimately what it is. He has not been over 7,900 all season long, which I mean, it's just wild considering over his last 5 starts, he's averaging what, near like 28, 29 fantasy points per start.
Yeah.
He should be more expensive. What are your thoughts on Noah Cameron?
Yeah. The more as the show has started and gone on, the further and further I am into Noah Cameron.
I also just can't believe that he's only 6.5% owned on DK. Like Hayden Wesneski is 2.5 times his ownership on DK at just $1,000 more. That one just does not sit right with me.
Yeah.
Like Sean Manaya's, more owned than Cameron, and he's $200 more. Like I just will gladly click Cameron's name. I like Cameron more than Eduardo Rodriguez for virtually the same price at half the ownership. It's just,
I tell you what amazes me is the top 6 owned teams. I mean, I didn't even list Miami. I barely listed Detroit. I barely listed the Yankees. Like, I like so many teams under them, starting with the Dodgers, than the highest owned teams. No to Detroit.
yeah.
Not super interested in the Yankees. Colorado, okay, maybe, Arizona, meh, whatever. And Cleveland is like, sure, they're in cores, but they're not a fun stack.
Yeah, I will tell you those top 6 teams in ownership. None of them are above tier 3 for me, and 2 of them are not even in my top 12.
Yeah, I was wondering about Arizona snuck into tier 2, but the rest, yeah, like I said, didn't make it or tier 3. And probably, I mean, honestly, hell, the Yankees in Detroit were, I think, more just to get me up to 14 teams.
Arizona is my top tier 3 team, so that puts them 6th on my ranking. But they're still a tier 3 team,
They're
virtually
7th
tied
on
with.
my ranking, right above Tampa Bay.
Yeah, like they're virtually tied with, what is that, 6 other teams in the
Yeah.
same tier. Um, yeah, LA Dodgers, being the 7th ranked on here, they're my number 1 team tonight. The Kansas City Royals are my number 2 team. So those are my 2 tier 1 teams. They fall 7th and 10th in ownership.
And my only difference, because I said Kansas City, I could have made a tier 1, and I could swap them. But I had the White Sox. I mean, hell, the White Sox 2047. I mean, the 3 of those combined aren't Colorado.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, the White Sox are a tier 2 team for me. They're my last tier 2 team, so they're just slightly ahead of Arizona. And that's strictly because I really love Miguel Vargas and Grichuk tonight. So like putting them that high just guarantees that I'm going to get a decent amount of those two. And that's kind of the reason there. But my other 2 tier 2 teams are Houston, who's right behind the Dodgers.
And I was going to, the next team you're probably going to say is one that I was surprised kind of that we were both on so high.
Is it your Baltimore Orioles?
It is. I mean, I understand the pitching matchup.
Yeah, they did make the tier 2 for me. So they are well down the list. So my top 5 teams are all sub 36% in total ownership on this slate, which really makes me feel good since I'm also super high on Noah Cameron, who's basically unowned. And I've put Logan Webb back in my pool, who's virtually unowned. I don't know. It just feels like a great slate, or I'm probably going to be crying at the end of the night. Like, no real in between is my guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, man, it's a lot of pitching I like, but damn, there's a lot of spots I like.
I mean, I'm playing Cleveland, right? Like, I'm just going to play. They're still in tier 3. I just don't like paying 160% on a team like Cleveland who doesn't really have any power. So like they could score 7 runs, but it could be on like 12 hits, like 10 singles and 2 doubles or something.
You know what shocked me? The Angels scored 18
Scored a
and
lot.
had 2 home runs.
Yeah. Were they both 3-run home runs? I know Neto's was.
I think that damn it. Was it Des Cameron that hit the last one? No, Gosman.
No, it was Denzer Guzman.
Desert Guzman. I want to say it was 2, but I wouldn't swear.
Yeah, he came off the bench and did that. So yeah, I think his might have been a 2-run too. But I mean Neto had 5 hits, I think. But
yeah.
They did that with their number 2 and 3 hitters combining to go 0 for like 7 with 2 walks or something. Trout and Shanwell did virtually nothing. Yeah, like just seeing Cleveland and Colorado in that game in Coors combined for 235% just feels gross. Because it's not really 2 pitchers we perceive as gas cans at all. It's not like one of the pitchers is Michael Lorenzen or something. So it is kind of shocking. They do have the top 2 point per dollar ranks, which tells me I'm going to have to do a lot of random work with the DS to drive those down because I don't need them popping, even as one-offs, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd feel much better about Arizona if Ketel Marte was playing, but that saga is something interesting. But I'm always somebody that's going to play Corbin Carroll, so like I get somewhat of the popularity, but it's not like they've been world beaters either.
Yeah. I mean, you talked me into Carroll and maybe Nolan or something.
Carroll and Moreno are pretty solid two-man. Moreno's been hitting third without Ketel, so like that
Yeah.
two-man combination. Perdomo even hitting fourth. I think he had some BVP against Lodolo. Ken Kniff taking some back shots tonight with the Cubbies. I don't mind the Cubs. I really don't. They're well down my list. They might have even been my last team in my rankings. They are.
They were the last team in my rankings.
But I don't mind them. The biggest thing is to make sure, including them just to make sure I get enough PCA, right? Like PCA should show up quite a bit as one-off anyways, but just the way to ensure myself that I get PCA exposure is to include the Cubs in my stacks. They're just super expensive. They are now more expensive than the Dodgers, which is wild. I will tell you one team that didn't make my top 12 that I really think that I should reconsider.
Minnesota?
No, Minnesota is in it. The Toronto Blue Jays against Schlittler. It feels gross, right? Like we don't really want to pick on Schlittler, but the overall Toronto BVP against him is actually okay. I'm not going to say it's great by any means, but they have roughly like an 11% walk rate, 22% K rate. They're hitting like 250 as a team against them, which is pretty solid for a team against an ace-like pitcher. And they have a few guys that are actually swinging it really well. Like Alejandro Kirk's on fire. McAdoo's been pretty good recently. That might really – Akamoto's hitting home runs again. Andy has a home run off of Schlittler. Like there's just a route to Toronto being a stack that makes a difference tonight. So I wonder if I just have to crank up my mini stack exposure to them. And as you see, like they're sitting fourth in point per dollar rank on DK. It's about all they have in green working for them. You see a lot of red across the board after that. That implied run total is just ridiculously low. But I think Toronto is kind of one of those teams that I kind of wish I would include it in my top 12. Do you have a team out there that you didn't include that you're kind of like, maybe I should?
I didn't include Minnesota, and I feel like I should. And
they have a good matchup.
I actually didn't include the Cubs. But it would probably be, as my brain stopped working, be Minnesota that I'd want to add.
The problem with Minnesota is we don't know exactly which pitcher they're facing yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's Vasquez or if it's going to be Musgrove making his debut. Also the bad part is the fact that San Diego's bullpen is about as elite as they come. So Minnesota just has to get there early on to then forcefully not have to face the strong side of the San Diego bullpen. I feel better about them getting there early on against Vasquez than Musgrove. Plus Musgrove would presumably be limited to around 70 pitches. I think I saw that he threw 60 in his most recent rehab start. But I mean, I included Minnesota, but I am tempted to move them down slightly. They're not very popular, so that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I just realized that I did not include Tampa Bay in my top 12.
They're my last tier too. But I mean,
Which,
I don't want to pick on Rodgers necessarily.
yeah, I don't like the overall Tampa Bay lineup against left-handed pitching, but I just do really love like Yandy.
Yeah.
I don't mind J Cam, even though traditionally he's been better against righties. Ryan Vilade, who's been swinging it really well.
Yeah.
Plus,
Vilade
Vilade has 5 plate appearances against Trevor Rogers in his career. He is hit for the ultimate cycle in those 5. He has a single, a double, a triple, a home run, and a walk in 5 plate appearances against Trevor Rogers. Pretty strong. But overall, I guess it's probably all right passing on Tampa. They just feel like a team where you almost have to stack every night just because.
I'm shocked that like Junior has the simply. I just listed the third baseman that the DS. I mean, the research station is showing, but he's dead last in OPS and ISO for a third base. I mean, in the last 7 days.
Yeah, he's kind of struggling, but I mean, he can get hot anywhere. But
yeah, it was just like we saw, and he's a better hitter, but we saw Schwarber couldn't do anything for a month and then just exploded for, a couple of days.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, J Cam's the kind of guy that can struggle and hit 3 home runs tonight. So.
Yeah. Even in some of the tougher matchups, like I still find myself wanting to play two or three guys from a lot of the teams. So it's going to make tonight somewhat interesting when it comes to setting up and running optimizers to just kind of get your combinations the way that you would like them to be, or at least get yourself exposure to some of these dudes. Any other teams you want to talk about at all?
I don't think so.
I mean, you kind of skipped over like Houston, who I'm playing. Like, they're a top 5 team for me tonight, but it's like they're just what they are.
Yeah.
Like Jordan's not exactly on fire right now. Pena's hurt a little bit, so Christian Walker's been struggling, but he has decent history against the opposing pitcher. They're just like whatever. Kind of same thing with Boston. Like, it's not the best matchup for them, but they've been so good, and Logan Webb can struggle on the road. But like,
I would say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say for the fact that Logan Webb is super low owned, Boston's still only less than 21% in total ownership. So it's not like anybody's playing either side of that spot, which seems weird because generally games in Fenway, people want to get a bunch of exposure to at least one side, right? Like Fenway's a good offensive park.
The only other team I was going to mention, and I have them tier 2, but I feel like they might be more mini stack, but that'd be San Diego.
Well, Ken Kniff just said the same thing as you did. I feel like I kind of skipped over them, but they're also just not in my top 12 right now. They're a little higher owned, like when you consider the fact that it kind of falls off a cliff after Colorado, really.
Yeah.
They're still one of the higher owned teams. They're higher than Kansas City even. I don't mind picking on Connor Pulip, but San Diego overall just hasn't been very good against left-handed pitching. So, like, I almost feel like just play a bunch of Tatis, maybe mix in some Machado, maybe a little bit of Merrill in the left on left, but
I mean,
it
looking
really
right
just
there
feels
at
like
the
Tatis.
like sorted by ownership or whatever, but like San Diego and Kansas City are so close, like ownership and average salary. And it's like, damn, I just like Kansas City so much more than I would San Diego.
Yeah, like San Diego does have the better pitcher matchup, I guess, technically from a number standpoint. Like Woba wise, if we're looking at the leverage sheet, San Diego's run total is just a, nearly a half a run higher, which I'm kind of shocked by. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I definitely like both of those teams more than Washington and Seattle, who are basically the same spot as them from an
Yeah.
ownership standpoint. I haven't seen Washington's lineup, but like if CJ Abrams is out again, like that Washington lineup looks so ugly without James Wood and without Abrams that I can't really use. And then I just can't trust anything with Seattle. Like nothing about Seattle makes me happy to play them,
Yeah.
even if
Well,
Matthew Boyd has struggled recently.
kind of going off of something you said earlier, and holy shit, how is he the fourth most expensive? Um, you know about Pete Crow Armstrong? Am I on DraftKings now? Like he's only 2% owned. You're like you want to make sure you get some. I think I kind of say the same thing about Tatis.
Mm,
He's under 5% owned. So I mean I just like to get some of him in some lineups.
yeah. Um, it's just like to me, San Diego feels like I would rather just only play Tatis, whereas the Cubs makes me feel like I'd like a little bit of Michael Bush. I'd like some Suzuki and some Hap. I mean, really, it's those guys. I mean, maybe some Bregman, but like he's not really much of a priority. There's so many third basemen that I like tonight that we're going to get to here in a minute when we go position by position. Um, but like, I'm looking. I know I still have the leverage stack sheet up, but the other window I'm looking at, like, Pico Armstrong has the fourth highest just raw point projection
Yeah,
tonight. So like, it's tough to ignore that. It's we at the end of the day we need the raw points to come through. Like
yeah,
you can look at point per dollar all you want, like, but you still need the raw points to show up.
yeah.
So
But I think
that's
they're
kind of what matters most to me.
great one-off candidates too. You know.
Yeah. Um, Jordan is the number one raw point projected guy, and I definitely want PCA more than Jordan.
Yeah. How is O'Neal Cruz the fourth most expensive outfielder?
Is he really? Yeah, he definitely is.
The fuck?
I mean that's aggressive for sure. He's been pretty well. I think he only has 2 hits since his return from the IL, but he's been it's a home run and whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, the fact that he's more expensive than Tatis even. Um, but you see who the seventh most expensive outfielder is?
McCarthy.
Jake McCarthy, being more expensive than Kaggs, who's been on fire.
Yeah,
More expensive.
I think
I
when I
guess they're
was
the same price, but
like more expensive than Buxton, Carroll.
more expensive than Corbin Carroll, more expensive than Trout, more expensive than Andy Pajes. Uh, like that one seems extreme, but yet I'm still going to play
Yeah.
Jake McCarthy. But yeah, let's switch over and just get a position by position look. Let you go first, and then you can give out your dongs, and we can get out of here until Monday.
Let's see. I didn't list a whole lot of catchers because one, I mean, on FanDuel, but I had so many first basemen. And I was like, I mean, why the hell am I going to bother with many catchers? Like, I got like 9 first basemen or something. But I did like your Kirk and I had listed. Now I can't remember his damn name. Well, what the hell is his name? Is he in the line? Is he here? It was Detroit's
Valencia.
catcher, Valencia. I had listed him, but I didn't look enough
I
into
assume he's in the lineup. Yeah, he's DHing, hitting 5th.
First base. It was just so many. Probably, if I had to name one, it would probably honestly be Murakami or Alonso. Second base, it's Massey. Third base, it's actually Vargas. If you want to punt, but he'll probably be popular. But Javier San, whatever he says his name. Chano. Shortstop was another loaded position for me. Loved Bobby Witt. Probably my favorite. Outfield, Tatis, I mentioned. Grishik. You want a cheap bet? Colton Cowser or Dylan Beavers. Of course, Pete, and I like Carroll tonight. Pajes. Outfield was actually smaller for me today than usual.
It is for me as well. I listed 8 first basemen and 8 second basemen, I think, on my sheet.
I got like 6 second basemen and like 6 shortstops, and it was like 8 or 9 first basemen.
I only have 12 or 13 outfielders on my sheet. It's just outfield just turns into a stack only kind of department.
Yeah. Just some of the other positions were so packed.
They are. Which makes it tough. Catcher-wise, there's probably more names than I have on my sheet. Like, obviously, like Valencia makes sense. Ben Rice always makes sense. Now that he has catcher eligibility on DK. You mentioned Kirk. You mentioned Moreno earlier. And then Mickey Gasper's been on fire for Boston. He's hitting 9th, though, which is annoying. But he's 2,500. He's probably my favorite one-off play on the entire slate just because he's cheap. He's at a position that I just love using one-offs at anyways. So, I'm just going to ride the hot hand with Mickey Gasper. 3 home runs over his last 3 games. Probably feels a little like I'm chasing it, but I don't care. I can accept a 0 from my $2,500 catcher.
Yeah.
First base, Alonso makes sense. All the guys that with multi-position eligibility, Kags, Otani, Ben Rice, obviously make a ton of sense. I think Yandy Diaz is my favorite first baseman / also favorite third baseman. The reason I'm playing him at first is because third base, one of my core plays, is Miguel Vargas, who you mentioned already. So Alonso, Diaz are easily my favorite first base on the slate. Second base, like I mentioned, there's a lot of names I like. If I was forced to pick a core one, it's Cody Clemens. As long as they're facing Vasquez. If they're not facing Vasquez and it's Musgrove, then Michael Massey, like you mentioned. Even though I'm on Noah Cameron a lot, How You Lee has been he's 5 for his last 10 with 4 walks. He's also 2 for 4 against Cameron. He's another just cheap one-off bat that I really like. He's 2,800. Third base, I mentioned it. Miguel Vargas is my number one play at third base. You want somebody who's been pretty good. Isaac Paredes for the Astros, who that's going to just excite Drago. I'm waiting for him to pop up in the chat after me mentioning him. Shortstop, you mentioned Witt. He's probably just the smartest overall play. I will tell you that my core shortstop is somebody who is not Bobby Witt, and it scares the crap out of me. His name is Willy Adames. He's 4 for his last 8 since taking a week off with whatever issue was ailing him. He's also 6 for 19 with 8 walks against Sonny Gray. I just feel like he's probably going to pepper the Green Monster with a couple swings. Maybe one of them goes over it. The outfield position, sorry, I should be switching position by position on the screen, but yeah, I don't have a ton that I absolutely am in love with. Mentioned Ryan Vilade and his career cycle against Trevor Rogers. Add in the fact that he's got an OPS over 1,400 over the last week. Make him a pretty solid play. You mentioned Paez. You mentioned Corbin Carroll. Other spend-up guy that you didn't mention, Wilyer Abreu. He just, for the longest time we mentioned this about Wilson Contreras. Wilyer just seems to have an OPS of 1,000 every single week. And has had some success against Logan Webb. Jaron Duran is 4 for 6 against Webb. He's somebody that I don't really play all that much. And I will mention Randall Grichuk again because he's facing a left-handed pitcher, but realize that as soon as a right-handed pitcher comes in the game, he's exiting unless they're scoring a bunch of runs. Then he might stay in. But over the last week, he has an ISO of 500 and an OPS of 1,333. Add in the fact that he's 6 for 19 with 4 extra base hits, 2 of those home runs against Sean Manaea, and you get a guy who's just in a plus spot, in my opinion, even though he's probably getting 3 plate appearances. But yeah, that's all I got position by position wise. I'll let you give out some dongs. We'll get out of here until Monday and let the people get to their weekend. I'm just not going with Austin Hayes that much. I mean, I get it. He's there to face left-handed pitching. It's just it doesn't move the needle as much for me. He's not as strong of a left-handed crusher as somebody like Randall Grichuk.
Hey,
and I assume he's going to be lower in the lineup. That also means that he might only get 2 plate appearances because he's 100% coming out for Gavin Sheets as soon as a right-hand pitcher is in the game. All right, give out your dongs and we can get out of here.
All right. Bryce Harper, Miguel Vargas, Nathaniel Lowe, Colton Cowser, Sal Stewart, and Julio Rodriguez.
Pretty decent list. I have none to give out yet because I have not even ventured down the dinger path.
What'd you call it? Cowser was plus 700, so that would probably be my, Oh, I like Buxton. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess Colton Cowser would be the off the wall one if plus 700 counts.
Yeah, I will tell you one that I would not bet tonight, even though he's in my player pool, is Randall Grichuk at only plus 343. That just feels.
I'm just worried about the at bats.
Right. That's why. I feel like I need him closer to plus 500. Knowing that there's a chance I only get him for 2 at bats. It's 3 is probably the most likely outcome, but there's always a chance for 2. So those numbers just don't make sense to me. But yeah, that's all we got. We're back on Monday around the same time. If you're members of DFS Army, you can hit us up in Discord with your questions, with your screenshots, all that fun stuff. If you're not a member, scrolling on the bottom of the screen is our best promo code at the moment. It is BOOK, BOOK. gets you 20% off any membership with us at DFS Army. There's a link in the description below. It'll take you right to the page to sign up. Interested in DFS Army merch, hit up Tattoo or myself, and we'll get you the link. You can get items with our faces on them. Not our actual faces. It's more cartoonish generated drawings, but still, it is still us. My daughter does have a sweatshirt with my face on it that she absolutely loves. So anyways, yeah, we're out. I'm rambling. Best of luck tonight. Best of luck this weekend. Helmets up, everybody.
The best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets casket is high. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Get your check. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted.